Welcome into another edition of the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com. I'm Tom Leach, along with Keeneland's director of simulcasting, Jim Goodman, and we're going to take a look at the 5 graded stakes races on a big Saturday card at Belmont Park. Couple of notes before we get into handicapping. First, the weather. The last time I checked, they were expecting rain on Friday in New York, but ideal conditions on Saturday, so the turf is going to be, I would assume, less than firm, but I would assume minimal scratches out of those Saturday turf races. And a couple of contests that you need to know about for Keeneland Select. First edition of the Summer Stakes Challenge. You register at KeenelandSelect.com. You place $10 win bets on the contest races for a chance to win a Fall Stars racing experience at Keeneland. It's also a contest with Twitter that is free, so follow at Keeneland Select, and you can find out more about that. Chance to win $50 into your Keeneland Select account. All right, Jim, let's start with the 4th race on the Saturday card. It's the Grade 3 Dwyer for 3-year-olds at a mile on the 16th. Kid Cruz going to be the favorite, most likely, in here off that impressive run on the Belmont Day card. Who did you go for?
Yeah, I think so. I think they moved this one out of the pick 6 because there's only 5 horses or 5 entries in here. Kid Cruz has an entry mate, Captain Sirius, and I think both of them have a shot. There must be some co-ownership here because they're trained by Michael Hushin and Linda Rice. But I think Kid Cruz is the class of the race. The horse that intrigues me a little bit in here is a horse called Alun Bator, for Ian Wilkes, who ran second in the Matt Winn last time out at 9-1. I think I picked that horse to get in the money behind Tapiture, and she really looked. He looked really good, and I think that he's got a shot to get the money here. But I'm going to take Kid Cruz on top, maybe a cold exacta 1-3.
I am going with a horse that just comes off a maiden win, and it's called Tis Dark, the 5 horse. Wouldn't do this very often, but it's Todd Pletcher, and he makes a very aggressive move with a maiden going into a Grade 3 stake off a win that was very impressive, got a 97 buyer, and the horse that beat him 2 starts back in his debut race was a horse named Legend that I think was actually favored over Kid Cruz last time. So I'm going to take a shot with Tis Dark. I think the price will be, if he's as good as he looked in that last race, then he'll be worth more than the price he'll go off at, most likely, with the competition he's facing. So Tis Dark for me. Use him in exactas with Kid Cruz and Captain Sirius, the 2 stablemates. We'll jump to the 6th race. It's the Grade 3 Belmont Sprint Championship, 3-year-olds and up, going 7 furlongs. I'm going for a price in here, Dad's Caps, the 5. He's a Grade 1 winner that's 10-1 on the morning line. The reason is that he ran very poorly last time. I think he got cooked by a real hot pace that day. They went 22 flat for the first quarter and then 44 and change to the half. And he just was trying to track that pace and got cooked. And I don't think there's going to be anywhere near that kind of pace pressure in here. And he could well take this bunch wire to wire or at least hold on for second. So Dad's Caps is my pick, and I'll use him in exactas with all the logical ones, which is Central Banker, clearly announced, Saludos Amigos, and Palace. Any one of those 4, certainly a viable win candidate, but I'm kind of intrigued by that 10-1 on Dad's Caps for a Grade 1 winner. Jim, how about you?
I'm right with you. We never talk about this before the podcast begins, but my notes are Dad's Caps tossed the last time out where he was compromised by a bad trip. Value play at 10-1. So exactly
Great
what you
minds
said.
think alike.
Exactly what you said. I mean, I don't think you'll get 10-1 simply because there's a lot of people that will do the same thing we did. Look at that last race and just say, toss it. He didn't get in the race. He got squeezed out, and he just wasn't in it. So if you take that last race off, and his last buyer in the Carter was 104, and he won the Carter handicap, a Grade 1, at 7 furlongs. So that's a big deal, too, 7 furlong distance here in the Sprint Championship. I like Clearly Now a lot behind him, and I also like Central Banker. So, again, the horses that you picked. The horse that I think might have a shot, but I think is going to be compromised by Dad's Caps getting out there is Moonlight Song at 12-1. So I would take a flyer here with Dad's Caps on top, playing first and second in case Clearly Now is due to run a good race for Brian Lynch. So I think the Met Mile, there is no Palace Malice in here, and there is no Golden Sense in here. So he ran really well to get beat 5 lengths in the Met Mile. So I think he's got a real shot. But Dad's Caps is my choice at a price on top as well.
Got a couple of grade ones on this Belmont card on the turf, one for 3-year-old fillies, one for 3-year-olds. First, we'll look at the one for 3-year-olds, the Belmont Derby. Both of these races are at 1.25 miles. This is the 7th race on the card. You've got Bobby's Kitten in here off an impressive win last time out in the Penn Mile. You've got some Europeans shipping in for this race. How do you see the Belmont Derby?
Anytime I've got a great European and a really good American, I'm going to go with the European. And Toast of New York is my pick here. Any horse that can win the UAE Derby and took home about $1.2 million and won by 2.5 lengths, won easily. And if you go back and watch that race, the only question mark is, was it the synthetic? Because this horse is much, much better on the synthetic. He's 3 for 4, only got beat in neck in his first race. But it looks like his turf debut when he was a maiden was okay, but he was 66 to 1 that day, and since then he's been unbeatable. And the UAE Derby is a great race, and it was a 12-horse field, and he coasted. So I'm going to take Toast of New York on top. Second choice is Adelaide for Aidan O'Brien, simply because it's Aidan O'Brien, and he ran at Ascot last out, and the King Edward ran second to Eagle Top. And I'll take Bobby's Kitten third. Looks like he's the best of the Americans in here, but I really think it's going to be dominated by the shippers here. So Toast of New York is my pick.
I am going all Euros in the Oaks, and I'm going all Americans in here. I'm going to take Bobby's Kitten. I really loved this horse last year, and he the more times he started, the more he kind of got speed crazy, and that was kept by the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Filly Turf Race, where they just couldn't get him to relax. It looked like he was going to continue that this year. And then last time out in the Penn Mile, he relaxed very easily, finished with a real strong kick, and I was just real impressed by that race and the way that he ran it. If we get that Bobby's Kitten, then I think 6 to 1 is a very generous price. But that just can't guarantee that you're going to get that Bobby's Kitten, because he's stretching out to 1.25 miles now and better competition overall. So I'm going to put my faith in Chad Brown. I think he feels confident this horse can stretch out to 1.25 miles. On pedigree, he ought to be able to. So it's all about relaxing. So I'm going to bet Bobby's Kitten will relax, and I'm going to make him the win bit in the pick here. And then I like the 3 horses on the outside: Mr. Speaker for Shug McGahee, Global View for Tom Proctor, Gala Award for Pletcher. You get 3 really good horses for 3 outstanding trainers, and they're all on double digits on the morning line. So I'm going to play Bobby's Kitten, key him in exactas with each of those, and take Americans that to finish 1-2 in here. And if get lucky enough to hit it, I think the price will be really good. So I'm going to go against the Euros in here and go with Bobby's Kitten. 8th race, Grade 2 Suburban, 4-year-olds and up at 1.25 miles here. 3 straight 1.25 miles races. It's a real interesting race, I thought. I ended up taking a horse that's only won twice, I think, from 18 starts, Moreno. They took the blinkers off in the Met Mile, tried to experiment, taking back off the pace a little bit, and it just blew up in their face. The blinkers go back on today. They changed jockeys. I think they're just going to send him. And I don't like the fact that he's only won twice, but the 2 wins in his career both came at Belmont Park. So I think with the right running style, gets his favorite track, if he fires his best race, you'll get a good shot, good run for your money at a good price. So I'm going to take Moreno. Romanche, I think, is the one to beat. The 6, Last Gunfighter, the 5, Micromanage, the 1, I think are contenders as well. But I'm going to key Moreno with those other horses in exactas, and Moreno's the pick in the Suburban for me. How do you see it?
I agree with you that Moreno is going to run a lot better today. I think it was a terrible experiment in the Met Mile, and crazy place to try that kind of change in tactics. So Moreno's going to run well, but I'm going to take Romanche on top. He only lost that race by 1.5 lengths to Palace Malice, so I got to figure if Palace Malice is in this race, he's 2 to 5.
Ooh.
So.
Yeah.
Romanche at 3 to 1 morning line is not a great price, but if he duplicates that race, he wins this. And so I'm going to take him on top. Moreno in second and third, and then I like a couple long shots underneath. Storm and Monarco. If Moreno doesn't get out from the 11th hole, Storm Monarco has a lot of speed, and Jacobson gets them ready, and Corey Lannery is riding well right now for at Road Rail at Churchill, and this horse won last two races at Delaware by 11 and by 8, so big step up in class, but I think he's got a shot. And then the other horse that intrigues me a little bit, it's only in a race like this that you'll get a horse that's won 5 races in a row at 20-1. That's Zevo with Jose Lescano for Chad Brown. And that morning line, I'd have to take a flyer on this horse because I think he's got a real shot at getting in the money anyway. And any horse that wins 5 in a row, I don't care who you're running against, is tough. And the last race was a $200,000 stakes race at Belmont. So I'm going to take Zevo underneath, but Romance on top.
And I think the horse Zevo beat that day right on the wire, came back to win last weekend.
Big business, yeah. He did. So I think that's a great price. Where you get 20-1 on Chad Brown and Jose Lescano.
Yeah. No, you make a really good point there. The 9th race, the Grade 1 Belmont Oaks for 3-year-old fillies, 1.25 miles on the turf. How do you see this one?
Well, you've already tipped your hand, so because you said you're going all Euros. I'm going to take a shot here. The Euros are on paper. It looks like excellence, and it looks like Flying Jib would be one too. But I don't know if that's the Euros you're taking. You may take Aidan O'Brien wonderfully. I mean that I think My Conquistador won the Alcibiades at Keeneland last year, went to Santa Anita and had the lead top of the stretch in the juvenile filly turf and gave it up, and then comes back and runs at Woodbine in a Grade 3 race and just gets barely beat in the synthetic. And back to the turf here, stretching out to 1.25 miles. Jose Castellano takes the mount, big move up from De Silva. Mark Casse gets him ready. I'm going to take a flyer on My Conquistador here to win a big race here for Mark Casse. I'd take Flying Jib below. I'd take Room Service, obviously, as the class of the American runners. Excellence, wonderfully. But I'm going to take a flyer. My Conquistador on top.
Yeah, I think you make a really good point with her because that race at Keeneland, the Alcibiades, was tremendously impressive, as well as beating the boys in her debut race. I am going to go Euros, and I did go for Aidan O'Brien wonderfully. As you mentioned back in the Belmont Derby, Aidan O'Brien, you always got to respect. And this horse has been in a lot of Grade 1 races and really hadn't made it happen the way I'm sure they thought that she would. Well, now she comes to the stage, she gets LASIK. So maybe that's the key element to enabling her to hit the potential that they clearly think that she has. So, and then I think you get a good price because the form, it may be masked a little bit. So I'm going to go Wonderfully, and then basically I'm going to use a 4-horse exacta box of Euros with Wonderfully, Excellence, the 7, Flying Jib, the 5, and Goldie Espany for Chad Brown, newcomer to his barn, and he's really good when he gets these newcomers from Europe to his barn. And that one's 10-1 on the morning line, so that just intrigues me on that angle. So all 4 of those in an exacta box, and if you want to add one more and make it a 5-horse exacta box, I'd say throw My Conquistador in there too, and there's a good chance you could get a pretty nice price with that exacta box if it comes through the way we think that it will on Saturday on a great day of racing up in New York. Again, don't forget about the Summer Stakes Challenge, KeenelandSelect.com. You can find out more about that. Also the contest via Twitter with Keeneland Select and a contest there. So you can use your picks to win some money and win a great fall racing experience at Keeneland. So make sure to check both of those out. And Jim, have a happy 4th.
The same to you, Tom. And remember, we've got racing on the 4th on Friday here, and then there's also Saturday's a great card at Belmont that we just recapped. But on Sunday, the United Nations, a Grade 1 race is at Monmouth Park. So great racing all weekend, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Kind of sets up well for horse racing here with the 4th falling on Friday.
And here in Kentucky, Ellis Park's starting up, so you can bet the Kentucky card down at Ellis this weekend as well.
They've got a nice race
on Saturday that I handicapped for the Weekend Warrior blog at KeenelandSelect.com. So best of luck with all your picks this weekend, and we'll be back next Saturday for another edition of the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.